Peace and what's up? I'm tripping already. Peace and what's up, Jewel's family? Welcome to the Jewel Mind. This is a weekly podcast covering the trending topics in the music business, relevant information to grow your music career, and interviews from featuring the industry most notable professionals that set the trends and make the industry what it is today. I'm your host, Julian Keaton, and on this week's episode, we're going to be covering Spotify. We're going to be covering its algorithm, a case study on how to grow your following on the platform, and tips on how to optimize your Spotify for Artist profile. But before I dive deep into Spotify, there are some developments in the industry that I want to put you up to speed on. After setting record highs on the stock market for an impressive comeback from the great 2020 COVID pandemic, Live Nation took a hit as investors reacted to the fallout from being involved with the Travis Scott Astroworld Fest. Sliding down 5% in the market, Live Nation has been named in at least two lawsuits filed on behalf of concert goers. Now, if you've been living under a rock for the last week and a half, Travis Scott hosted his annual Astroworld Festival in Houston last weekend, and unfortunately, 10 attendees died, and hundreds of others have been treated with injuries. Variety and LA Times both reported that a lack of crowd control was the culprit as there was a logistical breakdown. Now, what's been shared with the public around what's happened is that more police officers and security guards were needed in the crowd and at the front of the stage. Better spacing could have been set up to help crowds be grouped and to prevent congestion as attendees were literally on top of each other. And then also there were only two stages. One stage where all of the performers were at, and then a headlining stage that Travis was on. And because there was this huge rush from other stages going to the headline stage, you saw congestion that just happened and caused it to just be congested. Now, what does all this mean for festival attendees and the industry itself? You know, I want to assume that we're going to see an update in regulations and greater priority around better position security and police, medical staff to better manage the logistics and crowd spacing. And that's going to look like higher insurance premiums for ticket events, for festival events, and then also for the artists themselves because they have to cover insurance as well, right? So as the festival industry deals with that, you know, there's other platforms popping up like Twitch offering an incubator for artists to do live streaming. The Collective, which is the new exclusive program that Twitch is offering, empowers musicians by providing them with the knowledge and support they need to begin live streaming their music on Twitch. The press release reads, selected musicians will be grouped into exclusive collectives curated based upon complementary backgrounds, genres, career stages, and they'll work together to maximize and monetize their time and community on Twitch. Now, the Twitch music team and its industry partners are going to guide members of this program through a live stream paradigm and help them craft their own channel strategy through a series of workshops and hands-on support. They'll learn how musicians are going to build live interactive communities on Twitch and helping them earn money directly from their fans. Now, applications for this program are going to be open to the public, but partners like United Masters, DistroKid, TuneCore will be identifying and inviting artists to apply and work with Twitch to curate artist selection. Twitch says that the Collective is a continuation of the company's investment in music. Since the beginning of 2021, Twitch has paid out over $889 million to Twitch streamers. This year, and from last year, it was 517. So the platform is growing, and they want to make sure that musicians get their part of the pie. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. A streamer can stream 40 hours a week and make anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a month. But what does that mean for musicians? Currently, there are great examples of how musicians are using the platform to generate revenue. Mike from Linkin Park regularly streams for about 2.5 hours a week, where viewers can watch him produce a song from the comfort of his own home. Now, between dropping links to your merch store and from your channel page, or even creating a link that viewers can tip you directly during your broadcast, there are several ways that streamers are monetizing their Twitch platform. Now, with this new incubator program, Amazon's growing subscriber base on Amazon Music, and the continued investment from Twitch, live streaming might be a huge revenue stream for those that decide to cash in on it now as a consistent stream. And as digital platforms provide more resources for money to flow to creators online, Spotify has been updating its product features, making it easier to monitor one's success and generate more revenue. Some of the new features that they've rolled out over the last few months have been things like Spotify charts, an integration with Shopify to sell merch directly on the platform, and they have some new audience engagement analytic tools. Their new chart system, based on genres, cities, and a ton of other things, give artists new opportunities to be recognized and celebrated. And with the new global charts that they have, you can reach positions completely different than ever before. This also includes a shareable promo card that will give artists and their fans more tools to celebrate their wins and their milestones. And this reminds me of the promo cards that AudioMac gives its users when they reach certain milestones. Now, these new charts include an artist chart, where a chart that reflects streams upon their entire catalog. And this chart is updated every Friday, highlighting the top 200 artists globally. A genre charts, where they celebrate the evolution of sound and genre with a weekly chart updated around 17 genres, and as well as a city and local post charts updated every Friday, highlighting the most popular songs in each city based upon a song's popularity index in relation to how many streams that it's getting in that particular market. Now, along with all of these new charts, there's the data piece, where you can see chart entries, peak positions, streaks from extended view panels. And one of the really cool things that I love is that they're giving songwriters and producers some shine by adding credits to these charts. Now, even though I have a bone to pick with Spotify when it comes to their new proposed royalty rate for songwriters, they are making it a little bit easier to monetize on the platform. With their new partnership with Shopify, artists can turn their profiles into a virtual merch table. Listing your merch on Spotify is easier now more than ever, just by simply connecting your Shopify store with your Spotify for Artists account. Simply by logging in to Spotify for Artists dashboard and going to the profile tab, click the merch tab to get started. From there, you'll be able to choose 3 items from your store where you can feature on your profile. And with this new partnership, Shopify is offering a 90-day free trial period for artists signing up for the first time. While any artist globally can link their Shopify store during the beta period, Shopify merch will only be available to listeners in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the UK, and the United States. And as monetization tools are increasing, Spotify is also providing new tools to measure the impact of your marketing efforts and contextualize your audience growth. In the music tab of Spotify for Artists, you can view detailed analytics for any release. And to view your stats for any release, visit the Spotify for Artists dashboard and click on the music tab. There's going to be a release section if you're in the platform. Once you're there, you can now click on a track or an album or any release. You're going to get extended data around how many streams, listeners, streams per listener, saves a release has over a period of time. You can also filter these stats for any specific market. Now, one of the other cool features that they have is the engagement section on the audience tab that they just added. It's going to give you detailed metrics on how your listener base is connecting with you via streams per listeners, the average number of times a listener streams your song, the actions, saves, playlist, and more, right? They're making it easier for you to access the overall trends on how listeners are listening to your music. Now, for right now, these stats are only available on desktop, but I'm certain they're going to make it for mobile at some point soon. And with that being said, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to go over the Spotify algorithm. I'll see you in a bit. We live in a time where musicians can make a living with their music and hard work. For 10 years, I've helped artists create systems of financial and creative independence. Many artists need the assistance of knowledge, discipline, and development on how to make their dreams a reality. And now, I've packaged all those systems into a program designed to give musicians the foundational knowledge to succeed in the music business. The question now is, when do you want to make your dreams a reality? Join me at julianjules.com and become a jewel of the industry. Peace and welcome back to the Jewel Mind. I'm your host, Julian Keaton, and I want to dive into our theme for the week, Spotify. Now, throughout music history, let me get this right, y'all. I want to make sure that I have this information for you. Hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna need some help. I'm gonna need you to scroll that. Nonetheless, we're back having some slight technical difficulties. It's the first time I'm doing it, but I'm super excited to do this with you all. So be patient, give us some grace. We appreciate y'all sticking around with us. But I want to really dive into the Spotify algorithm because a lot of people are trying to understand it. They don't know how to go about it, and I want to provide some information for you all. So throughout music history, we've witnessed countless recipes and pathways for artists to reach success. While every artist formula is unique, there are some technical concepts that are important for artists to understand, and including the notable Spotify algorithm. Now, for artists who want to increase their listener and fan base on Spotify, uh, you know, there's a couple ways in which you can do it, right? First of all, Spotify is an essential digital streaming platform for music releases, and understanding the algorithm can be a saving grace or it could be a roadblock for your discography. Now, unlike social networking platforms like Facebook and Instagram, which have a central algorithm that impacts stories, ads, and influence how you receive it, Spotify actually does not have a central algorithm. Instead, their service employs a series of machine learning models that can be thought of as algorithms that help recommend music to users. This process is referred to as the Spotify recommendation engine that is built with three machine learning methods. First, the collaborative filtering. Secondly, natural language processing. And third, audio data. Now, the term collaborative filtering represents main machine learning models that drive Spotify's recommendations. And it incorporates a big database similar to a spreadsheet that's called a matrix. Now, the rows in this matrix identify Spotify users through the user ID, while the columns feature the song's ID. And this totals to over 230 million rows of data and as well as 60 million columns of data. Now, each song ID and user ID is given a vector that is calculated by Spotify, which shows how the song and the users relate to each other. This process allows Spotify to identify and track the songs, the artists, and the users and how they're are relevant to each other, making recommendations based off that matching preference. Now, the natural language processing might not sound like a music term to the average user, but for artists, it's important to understand this process. Now, understanding Spotify's algorithm is something complex, and NLP is an artificial intelligence process in which languages are translated for computers to understand the sound descriptions of an artist in their releases. Spotify runs through thousands of sites and blogs. It crawls it, trying to get content about the artists in their songs and establish relevant connections between similar artists, similar sounds. They also dive into different blogs, PR releases, biographies, social media platforms, metadata, all of that, just so it can increase your chances for securing a spot on a highly streamed playlist. Now, previously, user-generated playlists were not targets for NLP, but they now currently are if Spotify considers your playlist to be strong, meaning they have many listeners and it's updated frequently. Now, considering there are over 2 billion playlists on the platform, there are many playlists that aren't effective, indicators of which artists and songs should match together. And as an artist, you want to be sure that the playlist that you're trying to get on contain those traits. Now, an example of this is a user who searches and streams a lot of J. Cole's music, and they will more likely be recommended Jay-Z's music because J. Cole was signed to him at one point, has features with him, and he heavily states that he's been influenced by Hov's sound and style over the years. Now, the third model that I want to get into is audio data, which is a machine learning model that can also be known as signal processing and analysis. And through that, what it's doing is dissecting the music. The audio data deciphers the characteristics of a song. So the key of the song, the tempo, the rhythm, the time signature, and a bunch of other sound elements. Now, while collaborative filtering and natural language processing models dive into the impact of the music on users and how it relates to the impact and other popularity of other releases, the audio data model directly plunges into the music and pinpoints resemblances to other artists' sound. Now, using this audio data, Spotify then will connect the similarities of one song to the data of another song. And interestingly enough, this process can help Spotify accurately place a song ID even if it was not referred to on the web or has not been streamed yet. Now, in order for you to qualify for audio analysis for the first week of a song's release, an artist needs to submit their song at least 7 days prior, right? Now that you have the three main ideas around how the Spotify algorithm works, I want to talk a little bit about the placements of where you can use the algorithm as an advantage for you as an artist. Now, if you've scrolled through Spotify's home, search, or browser section on their platform, then you can see the tons of top playlists that have been created by Spotify's editorial team, such as Rap Caviar, Happy Hits. And while all of these playlists can increase, there are only two playlists that can be modified due to an artist's marketing labor, and that's Release Radar and Discover Weekly. Now, these specialized and custom tailored playlists are generated by Spotify's recommendation engine and are produced by users' listening habits according to the algorithm. Now, there are a couple ways that you could land a spot on Release Radar, and this playlist is updated every Friday. But the way that they approach is that it requires audio data to play the primary role of Release Radar. Now, majority of these songs on this particular playlist are typically newer releases and do not have enough collected data to recommend to users. And this can feature artists that users follow, artists they listen to, or any other artists that Spotify thinks this user will like. For releases that don't have enough streaming data or listening data, Spotify developers have deemed this issue the cold start problem. Not only can your songs be recommended to users based on audio data, but any monthly listeners you've been able to rack up also have a chance to get your song within Release Radar. Now, and the way that they do it is essentially by connecting your artist ID to what you've been listening to. Now, there are main criteria that a song must have to be placed on Release Radar. Now, one of them is the song must be relatively new, 2 to 3 months old at the most. And secondly, the song must be eligible to be recommended to a user based on listening data. Unfortunately, listeners who are not following your Spotify profile are not informed of new releases the same way that followers are, but they are still viable candidates for receiving your music in their Release Radar playlist. Now, followers, however, receive a call to action email to listen to their new release on Spotify, giving them a more direct, in-your-face reminder to check out an artist's music. Now, the best way to potentially be included on Release Radar is to, again, submit your song at least 7 days before the song's release. And you could do this by using the Spotify for Artists dashboard under the music section where they say upcoming. To prepare the hype of a release, you want to be sure to publish performance videos on social media. You want to be sure to retarget users with Spotify links to the song. And it's important to understand that Release Radar is cumulative, meaning that the users who save your song from Release Radar increase your chance of reaching more users during the next Release Radar drop. Now, according to most music marketers, songs rotating into the Release Radar playlist are typically peak out a third or fourth week of its release. And they usually get pushed out completely out of distribution around the 12th week if it sticks around that long. And so once you've kind of peaked out, the only other way to really get into an algorithmic playlist is what's called the Discover Weekly playlist. And I want to talk about how you can land a spot there. Now, the Discover Weekly playlist plays a different role than the Release Radar playlist in how it selects songs, which involves more of a guessing game for each user. Now, Spotify has developed a training system for its algorithm, which utilizes user-generated playlist estimates to create the track list. Now, Spotify will trace a user-generated playlist that has one song removed, which pushes the machine learning model to guess which song is missing from this playlist. In order to achieve this, the streaming platform uses a playlist comprised of a user's listening history, which is the model that, must guess the missing song. Now, once there's enough accuracy recorded, Spotify then initiates these recommendations to be placed on the Discover Weekly playlist for a user. And essentially, Discover Weekly is a space for Spotify to predict what is missing from the soundtrack of a user's life. There are two criteria that will help a song get placed on Discover Weekly. The first is when the user is being recommended a song that they've never played before. And then secondly, the song must be close to the user in the vector space based on the existing listening or audio data. Now, Discover Weekly pulls its placements based on popularity ranking, its playlist placement, media and blog coverage, metadata, and as well as its streaming data. And at that point, I kind of want to talk about popularity index. One of the most crucial factors contributing to artist placement in the Spotify algorithm is their popularity index score. The Spotify popularity index score measures music's influence and impact and distributes a 0 to 100 score that ranks how popular an artist is relative to other artists on the platform. Now, this measurement helps artists to get more placements on editorial playlists, and it will also help increase their reach on algorithmic playlists. Now, anytime an artist releases a new song to the streaming platform, it receives its own Spotify popularity index score that impacts an artist index. Now, the popularity index does not just take the number of streams into account for a song ranking, but it also includes the save rate, the playlist placement rate, the skip rate, and the share rate. Now, remember, the more you increase your numbers on the popularity index, the better chance you have for the algorithm to recommend you to new listeners and provide you with algorithmic playlist placements. The first week, and early data collected will help or release initial popularity and produce more streams for a longer period of time. And if you need to check your Spotify popularity index score, there are a few resources that can be used to help monitor that, including Music Stack, Song Stats, and my personal favorite, Chartmetrics. And they provide you the tools to find it. And if you are a little bit more savvy and have some coding knowledge, Spotify for Developers have a tool for you as well. Now, take into account if your song receives a score of 20 plus within the 3 weeks of release date, this will help the algorithm to work in your brand's favor as you are now potentially eligible to be placed on release radar. And with a score of 30 or more, which includes 15,000 streams and I believe it's a 40 to 50% save rate, you may be able to secure a spot on Discover Weekly. Now, a great technique to increase your chances is to do a pre-save campaign. Now, these types of campaigns give artists permission from responsive fans to save their new track to their liked songs collection as soon as the streaming service, as soon as the song hits the streaming service. By securing an ample amount of saves on a song's first day can artificially influence the algorithm to put you at a higher ranking in the popularity index. Now, one of the things that I want to touch on is the cold start problem, right? Because that's directly going to impact the popularity index. Recommendations that come from a new release can be determined off of a slew of components, including the tags of the songs, the artist and the album information, lyrics, the audio signal, any reviews, interviews that are on the internet. And when there's no usage data to analyze, such as when a new user signs up for Spotify and has no previous listening data, this begins the cold start problem for Spotify. Now, for artists, this starts when they create their profile. They don't have any digital presence outside of the app. If there's no user data to analyze, the collaborative filtering process is pretty much voided, right? Now, when you want to tackle this cold start issue, one of the ways that Spotify developers have been trying to evolve around it is by creating an analysis engine that examines songs to identify their tempo, key, pitch, genre, and other musical factors that uses this audio data to compare it to other similar songs on Spotify. Now, what that does is going to, again, take that audio data, take the other model, and find songs and recommend it to users. Now, to avoid the cold start problem, be sure to initiate some of your online presence before a song is released. This will allow Spotify to use the natural language processing machine learning model to be able to recognize when to establish and identify your sound, and even whether or not prior releases make sense. Now, whether you have a PR release, an interview, or a biography out on the web, Spotify will be able to use this data to figure out who and where to recommend you later. Now, once that's been kind of figured out, you've gone the editorial route, you've gotten some algorithmic playlists, one of the things that we want to talk about is user-generated playlists. Now, while algorithmic playlists take a lot of technical understanding and go by numbers and statistics, User-generated playlists involve more of an artist's interpersonal effectiveness and as well as their judgment. User-generated playlists are typically made by Spotify users that like to playlist songs in no particular order, and it just contains songs that they like. So with that being the case, many businesses, organizations, influencers create these types of playlists that will help expand their brand with the option to make them public or secret. In order to be successful with playlist placements or get on other user-generated playlists, artists need to be comfortable researching and reaching out to these third parties. Artists will need to not only understand the playlist and their listener base, but also the taste of the user and who it's created for. And as a maker of music yourself, you'll need to reach out to the creator and validate their list, establish a relationship with them, because that'll be the main way that you will get on their playlist. In many cases, you may need to be ready to pay up, as many popularized playlists give slots away at a cost. Now, keep in mind, the downside of user-generated playlists is that some highly streamed collections on Spotify can be popularized due to bot traffic or unethical tactics. These playlists are typically used by non-premium members in countries where advertising CPMs are low, which result in a low payout for the streams stemming from these playlists. I don't recommend paying for playlists. I want to be really clear. Do not pay for playlists. If you've not been paying attention, Spotify's been taking songs down if you pay to play. So don't do it. Now, I kind of want to go back to editorial playlists for a second. With one scroll of the home screen on Spotify, users will come across a batch of Spotify playlists that have been created by the company's shows and editorial team. These employees consist of international music experts and genre specialists that curate and manage the platform's own playlist library. And this includes theme, genre, and typically they have large followings, and they are more notorious to the Spotify brand. Now, some of the platform's playlists that are more recognizable are ones like Rap Caviar, Most Necessary, R&B, Hot Country, Channel X. And there are larger deal playlists that can cater to eras in musical history such as the 80s, the 90s, the golden age of hip hop, 2000 R&B. You know, it's been noted that Spotify editors tend to test out new music on smaller playlists such as Most Necessary before they place them on a larger scale playlist like Rap Caviar that has 10+ million followers. Now, having a clear understanding of how the Spotify algorithm can make or break your impact on the Spotify platform, as well as how far your music reaches. While the sound of your music and your talent as an artist is always essential to your brand, catering to your current and future fan base with powerful, engaging marketing tactics is the best way to navigate towards success. While your accomplishments don't have to start and end with Spotify, it can certainly help you maneuver away from only receiving recognition in your local neighborhood or establish a legacy around the globe. Now, let's take a break by watching this week's video of the week, and we're going to come back and do a case study about it.
Asking quick questions like how you been, but in my mind I barely know where to begin. Mercury retrograde, I had it again. So maybe I could blame my luck on that. Then my brothers, I did not just lose no friends. So maybe I could blame my luck on that. Last one standing, wonder if my rain will end. Cause I'm behind in so much that no going back. See all of those days, all of those years, all of those nights, I won't let it slip up out my grips. Yeah. See all of those days, all of those nights. I won't let it slip up on my grips, yeah. See all of those days, oh, yeah, yeah. I sacrificed stars. Lately I ain't been really not too much of me. Steady thinking about where I ought to be. If someone could look, I think I lost a part of me. See, maybe I could blame my luck on that. Yeah, never knew how this goddamn shit would be. See, maybe I could blame my luck on that. He trying to get this fame all off this fucking rap. But I'm behind and I've been feeling overlapped. See all of those days, yeah. See all of those nights. I won't let it slip around my grips, yeah. See all of those days, Lord. See all of those nights. I won't let it slip around my grips. See all of those days. See all of those nights. I won't let it slip about my grips.
Peace and welcome back to the Jewel Mind. You just watched the performance video from St. Louis-based hip-hop artist Mastermind. We've worked together since 2017 and he recently released his last EP, Great, just over a month ago. Now back in August, he started the rollout for that EP with that performance video, which then led to the release of the audio single days later. And I want to take an opportunity to talk about the song's performance on Spotify, how the performance video supported the audio release, how we leaned into the Spotify algorithm, and the impact of a successful playlist campaign. Night Watch was released as a part of an A/B single on Thursday, August 26th, and we distributed the song through United Masters. Before the release, we pitched the song for Spotify's playlist consideration. We published the performance video on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We also did a pre-save campaign. Now, our goals were 1,000 pre-saves to get 1,000 people to watch 75% of the video before the song release. This would allow us to optimize our ads with a lookalike audience, targeting users that will more likely be interested in the song. And then lastly, our goal was to get on an editorial and algorithmic playlist on Spotify. Now, to accomplish all of those things, our action plan included an Instagram content marketing strategy where we built hype for the song by releasing that performance video. We also wanted to prioritize mass awareness and attention by publishing an Instagram reel that included a snippet of that performance video with a call to action telling folks to go watch the full video on YouTube. We also wanted to make sure that we ran Facebook and Instagram ads where we targeted fans of Travis Scott, Kid Cudi, Lupe, A Tribe Called Quest, and a bunch of other popular artists. We also targeted existing fans that engaged with his Facebook page, his Instagram account, and folks that watched 75% of that performance video. After the performance video, we would run a retargeting campaign where users see the song's cover art with the caption simply stating that the song was available on all streaming services. Now that took us a month to really plan and map all of that content out. And so I want to kind of talk about the execution of it. The first step in the execution stage was the pre-release rollout. We published an Instagram reel that included a snippet of the video the week of the song's audio release. During that week, the reel performed pretty well. Our analytics showed that we reached 10,000 accounts with 73% of those people being non-followers, 12,000 plays, 650 likes, 106 comments, 10 shares, and 19 saves. We also gained 39 followers from the reel. Now, we also ran Facebook ads on this performance video. We set up a video view campaign with a daily budget of about $13.40 across 7 ad sets. And we also did a post-engagement campaign with a daily budget of $4.50 across 2 ad sets. Now for this video view campaign, our first week analytics showed that we spent about $40 in a total budget. And the ad reached about 6,000 accounts and showed 8,000 times with an average CPM of $4.72, which is above average cost. It also received 40 post reactions, 2 saves, 8 shares, and some of the other KPIs that we measured were cost per through play, video average watch time, and the 75% viewers. Now for our post engagement ad, we spent roughly $12. Our best performing ad set was a retargeting ad where we spent $10 on. We received 42 post reactions, 2 saves, 3 shares, 38 people, and we had a CPM of $2.62. Now in total, we ran that campaign for about 4 weeks, spent about $430 on the campaign, and we were able to accomplish our goal of getting 1,000+ users to watch 75% of the video to ultimately retarget for the album and other music-related content. We also wanted to leverage our content marketing strategy and get users to take action with a pre-save campaign. We used United Masters Masterlink, and our retargeting ads performed really well, actually, reaching 4,000 people. The ad was shown over 5,000 times. We had an average CPM cost of about $3.21, a cost per click of 27 cents, and a click-through rate of 1.16%. Now, those are amazing numbers, but we realized there was a flaw. If a user attempts to pre-save a song, they will be redirected to Spotify and asked to log in like they had never been logged in before. And this creates a barrier for fans to quickly complete the action. We saw a huge drop-off where only 15 people decided to actually pre-save the song. And so we realized that it wasn't worth it, and we just stopped running those ads completely. Now, we did a pretty fair job of accomplishing our goals given the challenges that we faced, but I want to talk about some even greater successes from this campaign. Night Watch was selected for 2 Spotify editorial playlists, Fresh Finds and Fresh Finds R&B, which resulted in over 7,000 streams. We also got added to a few algorithmic playlists like Release Radar and his artist radio station that resulted in 292 streams. A handful of popular playlists from third parties like Tight Songs by Fresh Licks also programmed the song. Now, the song's popularity index score peaked at 26 for about 2 weeks. And we had a score that activated Release Radar. But when we got on Release Radar, not too many users actually engaged with the songs. And because of them not saving it or adding to playlists, the score started to decrease. And then we started to see the song be removed from Release Radar. Now, because we weren't able to get past that barrier, the song didn't reach a popularity score of 30, which would have activated Discover Weekly. Now, because of the playlist success that we had with Night Watch, some success kind of carried over into our next single, Matter of Time, featuring Jordan Ward. We were able to get on Discover Weekly and Release Radar as the song's popularity index score fluctuated from 21 to 25 almost immediately. And it helped that Jordan Ward, the song's featured artist, was in the middle of an EP rollout himself, and his artist popularity score was increasing. Now looking back, these numbers, looking back at the numbers and just kind of evaluating everything, we would have done some things differently. For starters, we wouldn't have prioritized a pre-save campaign because of the login barrier. We would have reallocated and increased our financial and creative resources towards the actual performance video by running YouTube ads. This would have given us a larger top-of-funnel audience to retarget the Spotify link with. We also would have spent more ad dollars on the beginning of the campaign to accomplish our 1,000 plus goal before the song release to retarget. This would have allowed us to optimize for a lookalike audience quicker. In turn, would have allowed us to create a conversion campaign where we could have increased our streaming numbers to kind of keep our Release Radar efforts going. Now, again, we spent about $40 over the course of 5 days with a daily budget of about $13. I would probably do $20 or $25 and ladder down from there. Now, the performance video was great, but what limited us was only having 3 pieces of content to promote the song. We didn't publish any additional content on TikTok or Instagram Reels, and because we missed out during the initial release, there's always going to be an opportunity for us to revisit it later. Now, as we prepare to release the music video, our action plan might be a little different. Now, one, we're going to create a custom audience on Facebook of people that watch 25% of the performance video, which totals around 4,000 users. We'll then retarget them with a trailer for the upcoming music video to watch the full video on YouTube. And after they watch the video on YouTube, we're going to retarget them to get them to go stream the song on Spotify. We're also going to publish TikTok and Instagram Reel videos that reintroduce the song. We're going to aim to get new press that will embed the Spotify player a part of the coverage. We're going to advertise the video on Instagram profiles that fit the theme of the song in the video. And lastly, we're going to pitch for more user-generated playlists. With that being the case, we're going to take a quick break. And when I return, I'm going to go over some Spotify best tips around optimizing your Spotify for Artists profile. See you in a bit.
The moment I realized my paintbrush moved people was as powerful as my voice, I understood that art is my activism.